Hi, K-pop lovers. Welcome back to our channel. Before we get into today's video, if you're someone who genuinely cares about Rami and what's happening inside the babymonster fandom right now, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment telling me what you think about this whole situation. Your support seriously helps this channel more than you know, and trust me, today's topic is one that needs to be talked about. So stay with me until the very end, because the last part of this video might be the most important thing you hear today. Okay. Let's talk about Rami. Rami is widely known as the powerhouse main vocalist of babymonster, the girl with a warm, rich tone that somehow becomes bright and explosive in higher registers, with a distinct soul and R&B color that is genuinely rare among K-pop idols her age. From the very first moment she stepped on stage, she commanded attention. She went viral during babymonster's very first appearance on a music show for her incredible live vocals when she sang a snippet of Sheesh, raw, unfiltered, no backing track carrying her, and the internet lost its mind. Clips spread everywhere. People were shocked. How is this girl this good already? And just like that, Rami became one of the most talked about vocal talents in the 5th generation of K-pop. But here's where the story gets complicated. And here's the first thing I need you to really sit with before we go any further. Rami has been sick. Not recently. Since before she even debuted. It was revealed in a behind-the-scenes dance practice video that Rami had been diagnosed with pneumothorax, a collapsed lung, right in the middle of their rehearsal sessions before debut. Think about what that actually means medically. Pneumothorax happens when air leaks into the space between the lung and chest wall, causing the lung to collapse. It is not a minor inconvenience. It is not something you push through with a cup of tea and some rest. Treatment typically involves removing the air from that space and preventing recurrence, which can mean observation, a chest tube, or even surgery, depending on the severity. And Rami? She went back to practice a week later. A week after a collapsed lung. Because she felt guilty about leaving her members behind. She even apologized to fans for being sick and promised to never get sick again. She apologized for being sick. Let that sink in for a second. Now here's your first hook, and I need you to pay attention to this, because what I just described was not a one-time health scare that went away. That was the beginning of a health journey that has stretched across Rami's entire career. The signs were there from day one. And yet, some fans in this fandom are acting like all of this is somehow optional. Like Rami is choosing to be absent. Like she owes them something she is deliberately withholding. That attitude? That is exactly what this video is about. And it gets worse before it gets better, so stay with me. YG Entertainment stated that despite ongoing treatment and persistent health issues, Rami had continued working since her debut, motivated by her strong desire to repay the love she received from fans. Read that again. She kept going. She kept pushing through chest pain, through treatments, through everything, because she loved her fans and didn't want to let them down. And then the day finally came when her body said enough. On May 9, 2025, YG officially announced that Rami would be going on hiatus to focus on her health. Her medical team had advised her to suspend all activities and take absolute rest. Not a suggestion. A medical directive. She didn't choose this. Her doctors did. Because her condition had reached a point where continuing would have been genuinely dangerous. Even as Rami recovered, babymonster pressed forward with their Hello Monsters World Tour, performing as a 6-member group: Ruka, Farita, Asa, Ahayan, Rora, and Chiquita, adapting their stages and adding cover performances to suit the revised lineup. The group kept going. Rami was getting the rest she desperately needed. And for a while, the fandom's response was actually beautiful, fans sending love, making recovery edits, trending hashtags wishing her well. That part of the babymonster fandom? That is what fan support is supposed to look like. But then something shifted. And this is where I need you to really pay attention, because this is the part that genuinely concerns me. As the months dragged on without clear updates, and I get it, the uncertainty is genuinely hard, a portion of the fandom started to turn. The worry, which started out healthy and understandable, began to curdle into something else. Pressure. Demands. Accusations. Many fans were angry over YG not being transparent about Rami's condition, and honestly, that frustration is valid. YG's communication has always been a legitimate problem. But somewhere along the way, some fans stopped directing that frustration at YG and started directing it at Rami herself. Posting things like, "Why isn't she updating us? She should at least go live. The other members are working so hard and she's just resting." The implication being that Rami is somehow slacking. That her absence is a choice she's making at the expense of the group. And then, and this is where it gets genuinely dark, some people went so far as to claim that Rami's hiatus was actually an excuse for plastic surgery, rather than a real health condition. This rumor spread after a former idol made a comment suggesting that idols sometimes fake hiatuses to get procedures done. And some people in this fandom, people who call themselves babymonsters, who claim to love Rami, latched onto that theory about a girl with a documented, publicly known, medically serious lung condition. Her own supporters had to fight on her behalf, on social media, against people claiming to also be her supporters. That is a level of absurdity that should make all of us deeply uncomfortable. Here's the thing about toxic fandom behavior that people don't talk about enough: it doesn't always look like hate. Sometimes it looks like love. Sometimes it looks like, "I miss her so much, I need her back now." Sometimes it looks like, "I'm just worried about her future in the group." Sometimes it looks like campaign posts that seem supportive on the surface but are really just disguised pressure. "Come back, Rami, we need you," sounds sweet. But when it's posted relentlessly under every single piece of babymonster content, when it's spammed at YG with increasingly aggressive energy, when it becomes a campaign that treats Rami's recovery timeline as a negotiation rather than a medical reality, it stops being love and starts being something that could genuinely cause harm. Rami has been on hiatus since May 2025. YG stated that her health issues have been ongoing for a long time, and that despite continuous treatment, her condition has not significantly improved. That is not a vague corporate excuse. That is a company saying, in the most sterile language possible, that this girl is seriously unwell and needs time. And the correct response to that is patience and genuine care. Not pressure. Not conspiracy theories. Not making her absence about you and your experience as a fan. Then came the 2025 Mama Awards in November. Babymonster won a Fan's Choice Award, and their hit song Drip was played during the acceptance. But what shocked people wasn't just Rami's absence from the stage, it was the fact that her voice had been completely removed from the song as it played. Fans immediately noticed, and the outrage was immediate and justified. Look, the anger toward YG over that specific decision? 100% valid. Removing her voice, not just her presence, from a song she poured herself into felt cold and dehumanizing. Calling that out, demanding answers about it, holding YG accountable for it, that is what good fandom advocacy looks like. That is criticism directed at the right target. The difference between, YG, why did you erase her voice, and, Rami, why aren't you better yet? That difference matters enormously. One is holding a corporation accountable. The other is putting pressure on someone who is already fighting hard enough. In October 2025, fellow member Farida told a fan during a fan meeting that Rami was still unwell but was getting better. And that brief, second-hand update was the most direct information about Rami's condition in months. That alone should tell you everything about how serious this situation is. This is not someone hiding from the public. This is someone genuinely fighting for her health. Then in December 2025, fans noticed what looked like a hint of Rami's return in the final scene of the Supa Dupa Love music video, a young girl visible through a window, watching the members. The fandom lit up with hope. that moment mattered. And yet, by February 2026, YG once again released promotional content featuring only the 6 active members, with no mention of when, or if, Rami would return. The confusion and frustration are real. The silence from the company is genuinely difficult to sit with. But the answer to that frustration is never, ever, to pile more weight onto someone who is already carrying more than most of us could imagine. So what does real fan support actually look like right now? It looks like streaming her past performances and showing through that energy that she still matters and still belongs. It looks like directing your frustration and your demands for transparency at YG Entertainment, the company that actually has the power to give you answers, rather than at Rami herself. It looks like refusing to frame her recovery as a threat to the group's future, because she is not a liability. She is a member. It looks like trusting that she wants to come back more than any of us want her to, because she has already proven, through everything she has endured since before her debut, that she is someone who gives everything she has, even when her body is begging her to stop. Rami did not choose to get sick. She did not choose pneumothorax. She did not choose to miss the hot sauce era, the We Go Up promotions, the world tour stops, the year-end award ceremonies. She did not choose any of this. And she certainly did not choose to become the center of fandom debates about plastic surgery, about YG's intentions, about whether she'll ever come back. She has lost more than any fan has lost through her absence. She has sacrificed more than we can possibly measure. And the least, the absolute least, that this fandom can do is give her the one thing she actually needs right now, which is peace. Space. Rest. And the knowledge that when she does come back, and babymonster is returning with a new mini-album CHOM in May 2026, so hope is very much alive, she will be walking back into a fandom that is ready to celebrate her, not one that made her healing harder. That is the standard. That is what it means to be a real babymonster. Not demanding. Not pressuring. Not speculating. Just waiting, with love, with patience, and with the basic human decency that anyone fighting through a serious health condition deserves. If this video made you think differently about how we treat idols during their most vulnerable moments, please share it, because this conversation needs to reach every corner of this fandom. Like this video if you believe that real support means more than just saying you're a fan. Comment below and tell me, are you a babymonster? What does Rami mean to you? And if you're not subscribed yet, please hit that button right now, because this channel is a space where we talk about the things in K-pop that actually matter. Rami, if by some miracle you ever come across this, rest well. We'll be here when you're ready. Take all the time you need. Blackheart Annyeong.